Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to another story time with Mr. Riddle. Today we're going to read the story Mr. Birthday by Roger Hargreaves. Today is Mrs. Riddle's birthday, so if you see her, make sure you tell her, Happy Birthday! Mr. Birthday by Roger Hargreaves. The very best thing about birthdays, as far as Mr. Birthday is concerned, is birthday parties. Cards are nice, presents are good, but parties are great. Mr. Birthday likes birthday parties so much, he is never without his party hat. And Mr. Birthday is very good at organizing birthday parties. He likes to make sure that everyone he knows has a party on their birthday. In just the last 3 weeks, he has organized a party with 2 cakes for Mr. Greedy. One cake for all the guests, and 1 cake just for Mr. Greedy. A party with silly hats for Mr. Silly, because Mr. Silly is silly. And a party with no balloons for Mr. Jelly, because Mr. Jelly is scared of balloons in case they go pop. This week, Mr. Birthday organized a very happy birthday party for Mr. Happy. He invited all of Mr. Happy's friends, including Little Miss Sunshine, Mr. Funny, Little Miss Lucky, and Mr. Bump. Mr. Birthday put up a lot of balloons and a big banner saying, Happy Birthday, Mr. Happy, and he organized fun party games for everyone to play. Little Miss Lucky won hot potato, and then she won pin the tail on the donkey. She is not called Little Miss Lucky for nothing. She is very lucky. It was difficult to know who won musical chairs because Mr. Bump kept knocking over all of the chairs. After the party games, Mr. Birthday brought in a huge birthday cake. Mr. Happy smiled an extra wide smile and blew out all the candles in just one try. Then he ate a feast of birthday cake, jam, sandwiches, Jell-O, and ice cream. Everyone had a wonderful time. When the party had finished, Mr. Happy thanked Mr. Birthday. We mustn't forget that extra special birthday next week, added Mr. Happy with a wink as he said goodbye. Mr. Birthday racked his brains as he walked home. I wonder whose birthday Mr. Happy was talking about, he puzzled. But try as he might, no one came to mind. He looked in his diary when he reached home, but there was no one's birthday written in it for the next week. Mr. Happy must have got it wrong, he reassured himself as he got into bed. Excuse me. But the next day, Mr. Birthday kept overhearing things that seemed to suggest that there really was a very important birthday coming up. He passed Mr. Worry on the street. Oh my gosh, oh my goodness, oh goodness, what am I ever going to buy as a present for next week? Muttered Mr. Worry to himself. What a worry. He overheard Mr. Forgetful, who was repeating, I must not forget the party next week. I must not forget the party next week. I must not forget the party next week, over and over to himself. I must not forget, as he said, and stopped mid-sentence. Then he looked down at his hand. The party. I must not forget the party next week. He's written it on his hand. Poor Mr. Birthday was distraught. How could there be a birthday and a birthday party that he knew nothing about? The following day, he decided he would go visit Mr. Happy. Mr. Happy smiled an even wider smile than usual when Mr. Birthday admitted He did not have a clue whose birthday that they were talking about. "If you come back next week at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, I will tell you whose birthday it is," said Mr. Happy. By Tuesday, Mr. Birthday was very, very curious. Have you guessed whose birthday it is yet? Do you know whose birthday it will be? Mr. Birthday turned up at Mr. Happy's house at 3 o'clock on the dot. "You have got to tell me," burst out Mr. Birthday when Mr. Happy opened the door. "With pleasure," grinned Mr. Happy. "It is your birthday! Happy birthday, Mr. Birthday!" cried all of Mr. Birthday's friends. Mr. Birthday blushed. "How silly of me. I must have forgot," he said. The end. I hope you enjoyed Mr. Birthday by Roger Hargreaves. And again, if you see Mrs. Riddle, make sure to tell her happy birthday. Take care. Bye-bye.